Wow, thanks very much. Good afternoon. What a pleasure to be here. This is fantastic. As mentioned, my name is Jennifer Corson, and I'm here to share with you a recent experience from our Shape, Study, and Share portfolio. But first, word solitaire. Are any of you familiar with this word? You really shouldn't be, because I made it up. It's not in the dictionary. Keith and I, in being recent graduates in architecture, needed to come up with a company name to somehow blend Keith's interest in solar architecture and mine in earth architecture. Soul and terre, this all kind of made sense. But we should have thought about it a little bit more, because being in the Maritimes, we often get solitaire. And some architects have said, oh, you've been to that UK development, that planned development, Victorian in England, called solitaire? No, we haven't. And some just think we play cards all day. But here, I want to talk a little bit about the terre part of solitaire, one of our projects. And it starts actually in 1990. I'm going to take you back a little bit of a history. To my time as an architecture student and working on my master's thesis in earth architecture and traveling and studying in Western Africa. I met this little pumpkin. Her name was Coco. She was 2 years old and she stole my heart. She became my goddaughter. And she is really the reason why I'm here talking about this project today. We need to fast forward then to just about 5 years ago, where Keith and I were feeling the need to have our two kids, Clay and Will, experience a different part of the world, just to have their eyes be opened wider as to how others live, and of course, a chance to meet their god sister, Coco. And we were lucky enough to have that opportunity. Here they are together. We were also lucky enough to find a village, just an awesome village, just an hour away from Coco's family's home in Kumasi. Abetenim is a very small village by Ghanaian standards, about 600 people. It's in the jungle, it's in the Ashanti region. The villagers are all mostly subsistence farmers, where they go out to their part of the jungle each day and bring in their nourishment for their own families to eat. Some of them earn a bit of an income by farming at the local plantations, which have oranges and palm nuts. But it's really a village of farmers. They only got electricity about 8 years ago, if you can imagine that. And they have a school there, though. That was the best news for us, having the kids with us. There was an elementary and a junior high. There was also a really fantastic initiative a few years before we arrived, a group called the NCA Foundation. NCA means the word arts. And the foundation's mission, a nonprofit, is to encourage arts in the rural community. And lucky for us, the art in particular was earth architecture. So what a perfect opportunity for us as a family to arrive in Ghana and to practice the craft of earth construction and to have our children with us. And the kids are here today, and they're probably not wanting to have these photos shown, but they got to experience this life as a villager. Uniforms, really uncomfortable benches, having to arrive at the school ground ahead of the school day to sweep away the leaves by the school so that the snakes wouldn't enter the classrooms. They walked with machetes, which is the easiest way to clear brush on their paths to and from school. Can you imagine this as your kids' day? They were also exposed to corporal punishment, a leftover from the British colonial period, where if they didn't march in tempo, or if they forgot to wear their white socks, or didn't get their times table spit out in tempo, they would be exposed to a potential caning or some other punishment. So village life certainly was a different one for us. It is where water is a luxury, where a toilet, a rarity, and food are really hard fought for material. There's no Netflix, there's no Wi-Fi. This is no air-conditioned version of a safari that maybe some people think that they would see arriving in Africa. But for us, it was one where we worked hard, We were often working, well, more often without electricity than with, and more often above 30 degrees than below. But in working hard, we slept really well. The work there is done communally. We learned lots of stories, lots of techniques, and just earned great admiration for the work effort that these people gave to us in helping us build our project. One of the things that happened when we were there was the quick realization of how thirsty we were with the hot temperature and the hard work. And the way for us to have safe drinking water was, in fact, to be drinking out of these 500 milliliter plastic water sachets. They came in a sack of 30, and we had many at our disposal. And if you can imagine, each of us was drinking about 3 to 4 liters of water per day. That's about 6 to 8 bags a day, times 4 people, times the 3 months. We calculated that we were going to, as a family, consume about 1,200 bags of water during our stay there. And as a green thinker, as a salvager, creating that kind of waste for the village to deal with, to me, was unacceptable. There really was no way for us to have clean drinking water, yet it just had to come up with a vision to shape an idea of how we could deal with that plastic. So the kids and I thought about it. We challenged the kids in the village to collect the bags. We had seen a version of them looped together to create a skipping rope, and we practiced that a little bit. So we were shaping the idea of something to utilize with these plastic bags. You've never seen a village cleaned so quickly of plastic. You know, there's no waste system or sanitation system. Often things are just kind of used and dropped to the ground. And so that with the plastics, they were gathered up, looped up, and brought to us. And with some trial and error, the study of the Shape Study Share, we looked at techniques on how to weave and how to work with those plastics. So with Lil's class, the teachers, the kids, even the people that we were working with, we all got involved. And the 1,200 bags actually made a hammock. And a lot of people really wanted to spend their time on this hammock because there weren't very many comfortable chairs in our compound. But that was one way of continuing the use of salvaging and recycling the plastic that we were creating. Another example was, in fact, built by the kids from the school, a volleyball net, which we estimate was about 3,000 water bags. This is kind of a mini Shape Study Share example, but the main reason that I want to, the main topic I want to share with you is our bigger project that took us to Abetenim in the first place. I mentioned to you about the shaping. The shaping for our building project was really started by sitting down with the village chief, with the villagers, with the NCA Foundation director, and talking about what could be accomplished with our involvement being there and within our time there. We talked about the terrain, the climate, the heat, the sun, the way that the sun travels around the site, the materials at hand, the labor at hand. We talked about studying the various designs that we were working on collaboratively and how to adapt them to the skills and the abilities at hand. I'm going to share with you the outcome in a little minute. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the material. Here we are in the College of Art and Design. I can't tell you how wonderful earth is as a building material. Its texture, its color, its strengths and abilities, its fluidity, the way that you can morph it into different shapes. It's really a wonderful material. And when you think about it, it's the most sustainable and affordable building material that we have at hand. We studied its characteristics, its traits, pounding it into formwork to test its qualities, to look at the recipes between a little bit of sand added, a little bit more water added. We also studied various earth construction techniques between adobe and rammed earth, pisé, traditional African techniques, atakwame. And we also studied not only earth and architecture from around the world, but specifically the ones that already had set a precedence in the village of Abetenim. So here I'd like to share with you the results. From the video help a little bit to get you feeling connected to being in Abetenim. So Coco's Community Library was built in 89 days with the help of the village. It was built for $20 a square foot. All of the activities that you saw there, the literacy class, the well baby clinic, the sewing instruction, all happens underneath the roof at the library. We're really pleased that each time we go back, and we're heading back for our 4th year in a couple of months, that they've engaged. The library is just their piece. It's really become a central part of the activity in the community. What I want to share with is a greeting from the village, from the women who, many of whom you saw in the literacy class. They would want to say, Madase, thank you, which means I am beneath you. And Akwaba, welcome. Thanks very much.